Professor Yunus may not be anti-Indian, as you say, but he was certainly very bitter and anti-Hasina. And the fact that India had good relations with Hasina and was comfortable with her government
Mm-hmm.
makes the anti-India sort of a collateral sort of thing, and the anti-Indian thing is a collateral thing.
You're watching The Gist on Strat News Global. I'm Ramananda Sengupta. Our very special guest today is Ambassador Pinak Ranjan Chakravarty. In his long and distinguished career, he's served in missions in Egypt and Israel and Pakistan, in London, Thailand. But more relevant to us today is the fact that he's served not one but two stints in Dhaka, once as Deputy High Commissioner and once as High Commissioner. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. It's a delight to have you with us. And
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
sir, we're going to be discussing the developments in Bangladesh of late. But if you could just, in your mind, give us an idea of not just what seems to be happening there and what it could mean for India.
Well, clearly for India, it's not a happy situation because in most of our projection in our foreign policy, we talk about a peaceful periphery, stable, peaceful, democratic periphery. That's what we want. I mean, that's our goal, you can say, or vision, or you can say even sometimes I feel like calling it a pipe dream also. But then, things happen in different countries which are sometimes beyond our control. And what happened in Bangladesh, of course, is now coming out as a planned regime change operation that was being conducted by the American administration. President Biden is now in his twilight months. He will be handing over the reins of power to President Trump. So we might see some change there. But then the deed has been done. The outgoing administration, for whatever reasons, and we can discuss those reasons, decided that Prime Minister Hasina needs to be ousted. So they conducted this regime change operation and have succeeded. And now there is an administration that is there which is struggling to manage the country for various reasons. And my sense is that the Americans tend to do this regime change operation without giving much thought to what will follow. And this is what has happened in this case. And there are innumerable examples all over the world where they have done this. So that is my sense at the moment. And it's not good for us. It's not good for regional stability. And it's bad for Bangladesh, actually. I mean, the conditions that are prevailing there, it's not good for Bangladesh or its people.
But sir, if the Americans really wanted to do this, and wouldn't it be a negative thing for them to have an Islamist party in power at that, or an Islamist regime? Because that's where they seem to be heading.
There is one thing that not many people tend to know or care to know, is that the Americans have been very close to the Islamist parties, particularly the Jamaat-e-Islami, which was, as you know, a collaborator of the Pakistan army during 1971 and committed horrible atrocities on the Bangladeshi people. But then then they were all together in it. Americans, Pakistanis, and the Jamaatis. China too was siding with Pakistan at that time. So they have a long history of linkage with the Jamaat-e-Islami, and they have always sort of justified it by saying that it is better to deal with the Jamaat-e-Islami as an overground outfit and party or organization rather than drive it underground. That was their argument and continues to be. So they have links with the Jamaatis and the Islam and other Islamists for a very long time. And so And that was utilized for the regime change operation because the Jamaat, the Shibir, for example, the youth wing of the Jamaat, which is the stormtroopers, which are the stormtroopers of the Jamaat-e-Islami, and they were on in the field. They were part of
Mhm.
the. I mean, they took over the students' agitation, which was genuine to begin with, but later on, basically, was taken over by as per the planned operation, was taken over by the
Mhm.
Jamaatis and other Islamists, including BNP, the opposition party, but not so much BNP. I would say it was mainly the Islamists who took over that agitation.
Mhm. Sir, how credible do you think these reports are of, let's say, the BNP actually pushing for elections and the administration holding back?
Well, you see, there are two positions here. The BNP has realized that this is a good opportunity for them to return to power because the Awami League is being hit from all ends. Their leaders have fled.
Mhm.
Hasina has also fled, and many of them are in India. So they think that Awami League is kind of leaderless and will be disorganized because they're trying to save their lives rather than anything else. So this is a good opportunity for the BNP to come back to power, with or
Mhm.
without the Islamists. So that's why
Mhm.
they are pushing for early elections. Whereas the ideological attitude of the interim government, which basically reflects the ideological attitude of the students leaders who have taken over basically the management, and it is their writ that is running in
Mhm.
Bangladesh. So they feel that they must do reforms, and so that these kind of things do not happen again. So 10 commissions have been established to do reforms, and what reforms we do not know. They will
Right.
come up. So they want to do reforms before they go for election. They have appointed, of course, the election commissioners, including a CEC, who are basically
Mhm.
retired bureaucrats and military and an academician, etc. It's a disparate group. So there, that's the situation at the moment. Apart from all the violence and the attacks on the minorities that are still going on, so that has
Mhm.
vitiated the atmosphere. It has vitiated the ties with India also. So that is the situation at the moment.
So, do you think this delay that's for the elections is also for an opportunity to give these students to find their own political base?
Well, there was a rumor that they might form their own party, having
Mhm.
because in the euphoria or the exaltation that followed the regime change,
Mhm.
that thing was floated. That some students felt that leaders felt that since they have succeeded in this operation of regime change, that they should cash in on it and they should have their own party and come back in and maybe grab power or come back to power via an election. But it's not
Mhm.
easy forming a party overnight. Right? Agitation on the streets. So I don't think they are ready to fight elections, and maybe
Mhm.
that is also one reason why they want this whole process delayed to
Mhm.
reorganize or organize somehow to form a party. But my sense is that they will find it very difficult to form a party countrywide, and I do not know what finally they will do, or will they join hands with some of the established parties like the BNP and others, or the Islamist groups, Jamaat Islami, Hifazatul Islam, Islami Andolon, on all these. There's a whole lot of them there. And some of the student leaders have very intimate ties with these Islamist parties. That is also
Of
has
course,
come
yes,
out.
that's the. Mhm. So, but if we were to look at it, um, Professor Yunus has been seen sort of hobnobbing with the Pakistanis a lot, and he seems to be wanting to revisit ties. He actually announced that cutting off ties with Pakistan, but maybe not such a good idea. And they've been getting shipments of you know well, equipment, some say weapons from Pakistan. I've even got a list of some, weapons that they're supposed to have got. Also, the fact that, Yunus himself is seen to be very personally anti-Indian for whatever reason. So is that a factor in him wanting to sort of, opt out from India, or is it just, the other people pulling the strings?
There are 2 points here actually. We should never forget that there has always been an anti-India section in
Mhm.
Bangladesh, the population. These are the sort of descendants of the Muslim Leaguers, etc., who were always very close to Pakistan. Naturally, the
Mhm.
Jamaat-e-Islami was in fact the stormtroopers for the Pakistanis and worked on their behalf, and has always been regarded as close to Pakistan. And in fact, many people believe that they have always been the fifth column of Pakistan. Now, the Islamists have their own network, their own ideological inclination, etc. Some of them want to emulate what Pakistan has done in terms of turning the country into a Islamic state, applying Sharia law, etc. There's one leader of the Hifazatul Islam
Mhm.
who has said that Bangladesh should be turned into a khilafat or caliphate in English,
That's right.
and Sharia law should be applied, and jizya should be imposed on the Hindus.
Wow.
This I've seen on Facebook. So that's the
Mhm.
kind of rhetoric that is going around. Professor Yunus may not be anti Indian, as you say, but he was certainly very bitter and anti Hasina. And the fact that India had good relations with Hasina and was comfortable with her government
Mhm.
makes the anti-India sort of a collateral sort of thing, and the anti-Indian thing is a collateral thing. Apart from the fact that I've said that there are many people who are genuinely anti-Indian, who have that mindset in Bangladesh.
Bangladesh.
So that's the
Yes, sir.
situation at the moment.
How powerful would, let's say, the opposition still be, given that, in Bangladesh, it's only the Awami League right now that could be called an opposition? I've been getting a lot of, messages from people there saying we plan to organize a Dhaka Gherao and we plan to organize all kinds of things. And they're desperately looking for Indian support, it seems. How
Well, the
powerful a
Awami
force?
League, of course, Awami League is a grassroots party. It's not a new party. It's been in power
Mhm.
earlier, and it was a very much a part of the freedom movement and the liberation war. And so they cannot be wished away. So the even after they have been beaten, driven, killed, and they will remain. And the workers will remain. It's a very grassroots party. And
Mhm.
that is why I think the BNP is also saying that you cannot just ban the Awami League, because some students etc. are saying we will ban the Awami League.
That's
Now
right.
these are some very what shall I say, kind of very immature kind of rhetoric that one is seeing. So I would say that the BNP is taking a far more mature stand than the
Mhm.
others, the interim government or the students and others, who are driven more by emotion, sentiment, and what happened. So they are saying all these things. So
Mhm.
I don't think that the Awami League can be banned, and I think they will, because what will happen then is that any election will not be credible. I mean, after all, even BNP
Absolutely.
realizes if BNP realizes that if Awami League is not
Mhm.
there, and if they win, then it won't be a credible election, and the
Mhm.
same charges will be leveled against an unfair election. It's not free and fair. People were not allowed to participate. So you're back to square one, which is what the allegations against Hasina was.
Mhm. But sir, I had somebody arguing on this program that no matter what happens, um, the fact that we have a 4,000-kilometer porous border, the fact that we have immense amounts of both legal and illegal trade across that border, implies that at some level that relationship is not going to just be totally cut off. I mean, in the sense that you really can't. Do you agree with that statement?
Look, geopolitically, we are joined at the hip, as we say.
Mm-hmm.
That is, we have that border. It's one of the longest borders that India has. So really, there is no escape from uh, from dealing with each other. And
Mm-hmm.
over the years, there is a lot of interdependence that has developed in terms of trade, people-to-people contacts, and all kinds of things. Cultural, historical, to hai hai. It is there always.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't simply say that we'll blank out Bangladesh, etc. Or they can't. They obviously can't blank out India. We are far too big, and we surround them, etc. So in terms of reality, we have no choice but to deal with whoever is there in power in Dhaka, and that is what
Mm-hmm.
we have done over the years. After all, this is not the first time that such kind of a sudden regime change has happened. Earlier, also, there are several phases that we have gone through with Bangladesh ever
Right.
since they became independent. The dictatorships, then elections, then change of governments.
True.
So I think we are used to dealing with such changes in our neighborhood, and particularly in Bangladesh, since
Mm-hmm.
we have the historical experience, and so we will continue to deal with this government, but it'll not be at the same level as that of an elected government, clearly. So
Mm-hmm.
a certain degree of, I think, normality will be maintained, but not 100%.
I see. So how would a sort of I mean, okay, I might as well use the word hostile Bangladesh. What would that mean to our Act East policy in the sense that, would that block our access to various other places where we've been trying to reach? Apart from the Northeast, of course, but still.
Well, as I said in the beginning, that this is a setback for us in all our policies. Look east, all kinds of things. So we will have to deal with it, and we can't escape, and we'll have to watch and see how best we can handle it. We are handling it. Our, I think, High Commissioner there has met everybody, and establishing some sort of an engagement with the interim government, which which is there, which is taking decisions, and also with the political parties and others. After the initial
Mm-hmm.
rhetoric and sentimental outbursts, etc., I think you would have seen statements coming out of the interim government. Even the Jamaat-e-Islami, BNP, of course, has also said that we need good ties with India. After all, when you sit in Dhaka, you do realize, I mean, if you are a realist, you will realize that there's no way they can, not deal with India. And, there are, as I said, there are so many dependencies, interdependencies, that there is no
Somebody was,
choice for anybody.
Mhm. I just got reminded of something somebody mentioned to me the other day, that the very same people who shout anti-India slogans right in the daytime line up for Indian visas soon after that. I mean,
Yeah, I've heard that too. Yes. Well,
so
that is the
that's like,
kind of interdependency I'm talking about. That
mhm.
rhetoric and certain sloganeering can only get you so far. I mean, once
Mhm.
reality hits the geopolitical and geoeconomic realities, they override these sometimes these
Mhm.
short-term rhetoric. So it is indeed very important. Bangladesh is our largest trading partner in this region, in the subcontinent.
True.
The Bangladeshis are the largest number of visitors to India among all foreigners. So these
Mhm.
kind of dependencies and relationships cannot be just broken overnight because some regime change has happened. Because the regimes change, if they have changed in the past also. So one has to look at it a little more realistically and rationally.
A very last quick question, sir. We've run out of time. I think we're already gone past our time, but maybe just a yes or no will help, because I know we can't go back and change history. But there was a general who argued that, maybe we shouldn't have invaded. We had no business invading Bangladesh or Sri Lanka or anywhere else. And that we should just let them stew in their own juice. And that was the basic argument that he had given. I know we can't go
When?
back to change things.
When was it? When was it? In 71?
71, no, he spoke to me in 2007. He had fought in the 71 war. I mean, he's a World War veteran, World War II veteran. But he said, in retrospect, I've always felt that, war is a nasty thing, and India had no business. In fact, the argument that we did it because of the humanitarian crisis, he said, you don't understand that, the number of illegal refugees here is far more than the number of refugees who were gathered on the border that time. So that was his
Well,
argument.
he has his point of view, and but I don't agree with him, obviously. And
I guess so.
I think there were geopolitical reasons which probably he may not have factored into the decision that was taken to help Bangladesh liberate itself and achieve independence. That we could break Pakistan was a geopolitical achievement for us, and then it sort of secured our eastern frontiers to a large extent, and created conditions for us to, make sure that that part of the region, including Bangladesh and our eastern region, was we could deal with it more effectively. But there were hiccups also, and I can get into many more details, but I don't think.
I know there would be lots of hiccups, but you're saying overall, I mean, the decision was not wrong. That's what I've heard just.
No, obviously, I don't agree that it was wrong. I think we had no choice. We had to do it. And the way we did it obviously succeeded. And as we say, nothing succeeds like success. And so I think the other problems that we talk about, illegal migration, etc., and all, are different kinds of problems. They are of a different nature, of a socio-economic nature, not geopolitical nature. They're part of economic necessity, part of the fact that Bangladesh is at that time was certainly a very poor country and highly populated country. So the Bangladeshis tend to migrate, and they tend to migrate for economic reasons. Apart from the fact that the Hindus have also been driven away from Bangladesh and are today only about 7% or so of the population. So those are historical, events and legacies that we have to live with.
Okay. On that note, I'm sorry, but we must close this interview. Thank you so much, sir, because personally, I'm happy that you answered a question of mine regarding whether or not it was right or wrong, because it's been troubling me for a while, in the sense that, how are we supposed to feel when the country we helped sort of free, their leader goes and hops and says, Pakistan, I love you. It becomes a bit of a awkward.
That I've addressed. I mean, I think because there are still people, I think, in Bangladesh who think that Bangladesh should not have broken away from Pakistan.
I know. I met some.
There are people with that mindset still there. And some of those mindsets are nurtured by usually the Islamist groups, etc. The BNP to some extent, because some of the pro-Pakistani elements are in the BNP. And there is also some intellectual kind of, academic and intellectual sections who also feel that way. And so that dictates to some extent their anti-Indian mindset also.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir. It was a delight talking to you. And like I said, I'm glad you cleared some of my own notions. I look forward to having you with us again. And I thank you for taking time out at such short notice.
Thank you very much, Ramanand. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was Ambassador Pinak Ranjan Chakravarty, who, among other things, has served in Bangladesh twice, talking to us about the situation now and what it could possibly mean for us in the future. I do hope you enjoyed this particular edition of The Gist. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till we meet again, this is Ramananda Sengupta signing out.